Beyond the purchase price, the biggest hidden costs that we can run into in Chapel Hill are, steep lots that require retaining walls or additional measures in order to build the home, larger foundations. We also run into larger lots that can require more clearing, a longer driveway, uh, things along those lines. And then, one of the ones people don't think about is if there's a stream on your property, depending on how it's delineated by the local government or state, there could be some additional costs with working around that creek or going through that creek with a driveway. Those are some of the bigger hidden costs we've seen over the years. So I've never run into a piece of land that we cannot get a septic to work on. Now that doesn't mean that comes with a cost. So most of our lots that we build on have a conventional septic system, which is what you would think of as a traditional septic system. Um, but there are lots beyond that that require a different system. We have some systems with low pressure pump systems. We have surface systems where basically the percolating happens on the surface and into the ground. So those systems typically come with more pretreatment, and the water that's going through the system is treated prior to being disseminated onto the land. So in general, we look for lots that have conventional septic systems, your typical 3-4 bedroom systems. But if a client really loves a lot and we need to go a few steps further, there are options out there, and we can get permits both from the county and then in the worst case from the state. And we've done that plenty of times in the past for our clients. There are plenty of reasons why a lot could be sitting on the market for a long time. I mean, the first one that comes to mind would be pricing. Obviously, some people believe that their lot's worth a lot more than it actually is. Other reasons are challenges, terrain challenges, stream crossings, etc. Some of these lots get a little bit tricky for the permitting process. We have to both go through environmental, land disturbance, erosion control permits, and building permits. So there's more to it than just building a house. So some of these lots have challenges beyond what the average person's going to see. So my guess is if a lot's been sitting for a while, it's either overpriced and or it's just there's a challenge to it and it's not for everybody. Discussing a hilltop lot or something with a great view, typically that comes with a slope lot, which is a lot more expensive than a flat piece of lot to prep for a build site. Now, the best thing you can do in order to mitigate those costs is design your home knowing that you're building it on the side of a hill, and you can certainly use home design to mitigate costs. Some of these costs that we see are expensive driveways with retaining walls, larger, taller foundations on the back of the home if the view's out the back, and then additional retaining walls around the back of the house. So if you can mitigate that, basically have deck views and nothing, ground view on the back, then you can certainly save some costs. In order to find out how much of a lot is actually buildable, you would have to go through a few processes. The biggest one would be getting a survey of the lot. So that's going to tell you what your setbacks are with the county and or city. What it also do is map streams. With those streams mapped, we can get what's called a stream determination. Depending on what type of stream it is and what jurisdiction it is in, there are certain buffers that you have to keep from the center line of the stream. They can be as little as 30 feet. They can be as much as 150 feet, depending on your location. So it's important to know that before you purchase a lot, because yes, that could severely limit where you can actually build your home. And we've seen that a lot in Chapel Hill, and we've helped our clients work around that. And there's certain things that you can do in order to mitigate some of those risks. But the biggest thing up front is getting that survey, knowing your stream determination, and working with a builder who understands all of that. So everyone loves a long meandering driveway. Um, and with that, there's a cost. There's additional costs. So our average driveway is 3,000 square feet, but some of them can be as long as 10, 12,000, even further. So the hidden costs with that are obviously beyond just the cost of the driveway itself, getting utilities back there. So the local utility companies have a certain credit up front that they'll give you for running power to your house or gas to your house. But if it gets over a certain distance, they're going to charge you more based on that. So you have utility costs. You also have clearing costs. So assuming this is a wooded lot, you're going to have all that additional clearing to get back to your home site. And then sometimes we run into streams that are needed to be crossed, but sometimes have a jurisdictional fee or crossing fee, to put it simply. And the last hidden cost could be additional retaining walls that, if we have to meander the driveway up a hill, there could be some additional retaining wall cost as well. You should definitely bring a builder to your lot before you close on the sale. There's a lot of hidden things that a builder with experience in this geographical and geological area can figure out before you purchase that lot. Some of them are just cost based. Is there additional clearing here? Are there trees that are going to be extra expensive? Where should I route my driveway in order to make it as little impact as possible? Additionally, there could be some streams on the property that are jurisdictional streams that will need to be avoided, or will create buffers situations which would impact the location or the potential locations of your home. Other than that, we're going to look at terrain. We're going to look at any kind of rock formations that could indicate additional rocks in the ground. Typically, we can work around those, except if you want a basement, then we have to think about what's going to be under that surface that we're going to have to contend with in order to get you that basement. So take a builder; they know what they're doing. When a builder is looking at a lot initially, we don't necessarily know what's underground, but we can typically tell based on either a neighbor's property, the fact that we've built in the area, the hyper local area, and or the surface rocks, what we would expect to be under the surface. Now, on a traditional crawl space home, what under the surface is not that important, but with a basement home, it can be a lot more important to know, or to set expectations for what's under the ground. So us being a fixed price builder, we have to make that judgment call in the beginning and budget for it correctly, so there's no additional charges going to our client once we discover what's truly in the ground. If you're looking for a lot on Zillow right now, the first thing you should do is, one, make sure it's in the location you want it to be in. Number two, start looking for a survey or and an improvement permit. An improvement permit is for the septic system. The lot has a septic system. You want to make sure it has an improvement permit. If it doesn't, it may have a soils report. You want to get somebody experienced like a builder to look at that on your behalf. You want to know if it's on well and septic or water and sewer, or a mix of the four of those options. You want to know if the gas company's out there, if it has fiber, internet, all the utilities. You want to be sure that they will be on site. And then looking at the terrain. Terrain is super important, especially in Chapel Hill. It's called Chapel Hill because it has hills, and a lot could be a half an acre, but if it's on an extreme slope, it's going to be very expensive and very difficult to build on. Or it could be a half an acre on flat land, and it would be very reasonable to build on. So those are the things. Ultimately, if you really like the lot and want to pursue it, you drive by it, bring a builder out there, have them take a look at it, and they can give you an idea of additional costs associated with building on that lot.